on this 11th day of May 2014. When we're not live, that's once a month or so, you will hear me say it's an original transmission because I will tape a whole show or part of a show for you on either Friday night or Saturday if I'm going to be out of town or busy with family stuff like on Easter. But we are live, and we're also live not just Sunday 4 to 6 p.m. Central, but back weekdays 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And when that broadcast, when I'm not there, it's David Knight sitting in doing a fabulous job. Did a great job Friday with the crew. One of the best crews out there. We are not just mainstream media's killer. We are the antidote to the New World Order, and so are you, we the people. All right. I got so excited when I saw this yesterday because I've been following it that I shot a video that's up on Infowars.com. But I talk about certain things being a skeleton key or a Rosetta Stone. And what is a skeleton key or a Rosetta Stone? A Rosetta Stone is the key to decipher the meaning of ancient hieroglyphics. What was it in that case? Was it Egypt or Babylon? I forget. You guys pull up the Rosetta Stone for me? Thanks. And when they found that decoder template carved on a black rock, they could suddenly unlock many of the ancient mysteries. And it's the same thing with a skeleton key. It's the key in a hotel or a business that will open all the locks, not just the one office. I have a key for here at the office that opens all the doors. What's happened in Mexico is a Rosetta Stone, is a skeleton key. And I'm going to come back and cover it. It's a positive Rosetta Stone key. It's a brush fire that if wind hits it, and if we fan the flames, will burn down tyranny and create a verdant system of low crime and just luxurious freedom worldwide. And a return to chivalry, to knighthood, to people not smarting off and having to, not cash checks at their mouth rights. This is so important. There's also very poisonous Rosetta Stones and skeleton keys, or just things that, really make things clear what's going on. And the Pope coming out. I want to talk about this more today, earlier in the week. I guess on Thursday night, and saying we need wealth redistribution. If you guys reprint me or repull those articles from Friday and Thursday, I want to get his quotes exactly right. That's a big deal to say we should have wealth redistribution because that's stealing. Thou shalt not steal. And you can always argue, well, it's for the poor, it's for the best interest. It always turns into a monstrous tyranny. And the elite are the ones pushing this because they get the money and then hand out chicken feed to the public. So we're going to be covering that coming up as well today. But I'm going to try to be calm. This is so monumental, what's happening in Mexico. From every angle, it's the key. And I salute the people of Mexico. Mexico to legitimize vigilantes fighting drug cartel. That's the AP. And it goes on from there. Mexican vigilantes keep arms despite deadline. Strange. AP changed that headline. It was different last night. Mexico to transform anti-cartel vigilante forces. But when you really read what's happening, they just won't turn their guns in, and they've stopped the crime and cut it down to nothing in all the areas they're operating, which is now spreading. And Mexicans just aren't following the government because they know it's really the drug cartels. Different arms of the government fighting through different arms of cartels. I'll break it all down. This is so big. The Second Amendment is coming to Mexico. They hit the bottom, now they're coming back up. The globalist social engineers are not just targeting us with propaganda. They are manipulating our genetics. We are being targeted at every level by estrogen mimickers that lower our testosterone and other hormones and natural compounds that the body needs. After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic super male vitality formula sourced from powerful organic herbs and then concentrated for maximum potency potency. Super Male Vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. Super Male Vitality by InfoWars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose. For a limited time, we are offering 15% off Super Male Vitality at InfoWarsLife.com to introduce you to this powerful supplement. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality. InfoWarsLife.com.
Your riches and wisdom. So we have even right there.
What's his name?
This is an emergency transmission from FEMA Region 6 in occupied North America.
There is a war. It's happening now. It will decide the fate of humanity. The time to choose sides has come. We are the resistance. We are the InfoWar. You are the InfoWar. You, the people, have the power. You are the Renaissance. You, historically, have been the common folks like myself who change history for the better, or the knowledge, the wisdom of the crowd that historically is always better than that of the walled-off establishment. There was a book I read more than a decade ago. Small is Beautiful, I think was the name of it, written by a professor. It was a short little book about how the best restaurants are small mom and pops, the best facilities, the best art, the best literature. It's produced lovingly. It's decentralized. Small is Beautiful, a study of economics as if people mattered, is a collection of essays by British economist E.F. Schumacher. The phrase small is beautiful came from a phrase by his teacher, Leopold Kohr, and is often used to champion small, appropriate technologies that are believed to empower people more, in contrast with the phrase such as bigger is better. First published in '73, Small is Beautiful brought his critiques of Western economics to a wider audience during the '73 energy crisis and emergence of globalization. So it was a big critic of globalization. The Times Literary Supplement ranked Small is Beautiful among the 100 most influential books published since World War II. A further edition which commemorates its first publishing, was published in '99. But let's just stop right there. I didn't mean to digress off into that. The point is, the people are the answer. Local government's the answer. Decentralization is the answer. Now, the globalists always create clones of whatever's common sense. They say they don't want any local government control or even state or federal. They want international, unelected, secret corporate boards. That's the New World Order that dictate through unelected trade federations what to do. They have the Trans-Pacific Partnership right now. 6 months ago, it got leaked, the open documents, which they admit are real. Obama was very upset about it, that would end the free internet, end net neutrality, end free speech as we know it. Basically, the communist Chinese government wrote it. That's an example of how we're debating, is the federal government tyrannical, and it's already been signed over via treaties to the IMF, the World Bank, the World Trade Organization, the globalists. And so we can debate, are we Republican, are we Democrat, are we black, are we white, are we Hispanic, are you Asian? It doesn't matter. It's what is the content and character of your deeds, as Martin Luther King said, and what do you stand for? Well, I stand for individual rights, individual liberty. I trust the general public to be armed 100 times more than I trust a big centralized government to be armed. And then I could talk for 10 hours and show you historical examples of how centralized government is the most dangerous thing historically. In the 20th century, University of Hawaii, pull it up, the term democide was coined more than 15 years ago by a top professor. Other Chicago business schools done an analysis that was similar. But the point is, government killed between 260 million and 300 plus million, depending on which study you look at. The low number is 262 million University of Hawaii democide, or death by government. That's not wars. That's non-military combatants, men, women, and children being put in death camps, being shot in the back of the head, being raped, being starved, being killed, being forced labored. Government is the #1 unnatural killer. It's cancer, heart attacks, and then it's government. Then it's flesh-eating bacteria and hospital complications caused by the hospital. And then you go down the line. Then it's suicide. That wasn't even in the top 10 20-something years ago. Now it's in the top 10. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to get into something so exciting that I describe it as a skeleton key or a Rosetta Stone of understanding. And again, certain stories, certain narratives, certain truths, certain happenings are microcosms that can be understood by all and that demonstrate an idea that can be easily understood and save society. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been following for 5 years. First time I learned of it was Vice Magazine did a video showing Mormon Mexicans in north central Mexico with 50 caliber rifles and M4s that were illegal, but they refused to turn in. All guns are banned for the general public in Mexico, fighting off the giant drug cartel that was stealing their cattle, robbing them, shaking their wives down, pulling them over at checkpoints, robbing them. They got guns illegally from the United States, and they understood that it was the Mexican military mainly, the Mexican Army, not the Mexican Marines. The Mexican Navy is not really corrupt compared to the Mexican Army. That's on record. I've got family down there in the drug war right now, Special Forces, and they've confirmed that to me. The Mexican military at night puts on the cartel outfits. They've got groups like Sinaloa, and then they've got groups like the Knights Templar. They've got really 5 big ones that are left. And they're simply groups within the Army and the Congress that battle each other for control of it. And the CIA, it was declassified this year, came out in federal court, you can look it up, backs 3 of the 5 groups. They're trying to knock out the other 2, then they'll try to have the other 2 knock out 1, then they'll have 1 knock out the other. You'll have 1 CIA, big bank-run Mexican military cartel. And that's how the big banks conquer countries. This is very sophisticated, but I'm going to go through the history of it first and give you the latest news. If you look up the opium trade into China, the Chinese emperors said that opium was illegal. British intelligence, this is all declassified, been public for 200 years. Over about 100 years in the 17 and 1800s, staggering, British East India Company, Dutch East India Company, shipped in opium into the coastal cities out of Afghanistan into China. And because China made it illegal, it allowed the British troops and the British intelligence to pay off the local police constabulary. Because it was illegal, it kept the price up way high. And over the next, really it took them about 60 years, but total 100, they totally took over the country from 1729 to 1832. We're putting graphs on the screen right now if you're a TV viewer. Anybody on radio can listen free at Infowars.com/show. You can see the video feed that I'm showing you right now. So they use that to then over the next 101 years to take over every sector and then force the government, because they already controlled all the police and all the governors, to allow them to break the country in 14 parts. And it was given to 14 different colonial nations, and they literally made the Chinese people complete slaves. Now, the same operation has been run by the big private, mainly British banks. I'm not bashing the British people.